The Erie Canal is a lot of things. It is this historic waterway. It changed the landscape of upstate New York, both figuratively and literally. It was a man-made ditch that moved water in places it hadn't been before. But then it also created these cities. The Erie Canal is known as the mother of cities. So all along the shores of the canal, cities were born, including the city of Syracuse. But also Rochester, Utica, Buffalo. Buffalo was nothing before the Erie Canal came. So it's important for people, especially people up here in central New York or upstate New York, to realize that the places that they live in, the world as they know it, exists because of this body of water. So it was 200 years ago this 4th of July that the first shovelful of dirt was turned over in Rome, New York. The Appalachian Mountain Range goes from Canada to, I believe, Alabama. It's giant. We often call it a formidable barrier. And it is. It's a giant mountain range that goes all the way down the east coast of the country, and there are very few breaks in those mountains. There is one pretty significant break at the Mohawk River Valley. People noticed that break and thought, that's a way in. We can get into the country right through this river valley.
And because the natural river already created a cut through those mountains, it is the most ideal place to put an artificial river. It's sort of mankind's improvement on what nature has already provided.
It was transformative in the real true sense of the word. There was land here, then there was water. That's transformation, and it was powerful.
It wasn't just towns that were on the canal route that were affected by the canal. It made it easier to, even if you were shipping your goods overland, it made it easier to get to some point where you could put it on the waterway, which was the fastest means of transport at the time.
The effect of that was even beyond New York State, because the story of Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, their story is Buffalo's story.
In the most simplest of terms, the Erie Canal was a huge success. The reason why people in the Midwest or the western part of the United States live there now is because the Erie Canal was a success that opened up the western part of what is now the United States.
Well, I think of it as the internet of its time. The way the internet has flooded us with information, the canal did the same thing in its time.
Ideas would move up and down the canal, religious ideas, movements. That's how news was distributed. You'd stop at a lock, voters would exchange information with the lock tenders, and word would spread.
So New York State built it and funded it all by themselves, and so therefore reaped all the benefits by themselves. And so New York State became a powerful state within our young country. And really, we've remained so since. I don't know if people realize when they drive on I-90 how historic that route is. And I often tell people, when you're driving on the thruway and you see a sign that says Erie Canal, and then you cross over a bridge, they're really talking about the Erie Canal. Like, that's it, the real thing. The Erie Canal still exists. When we think of it, we think of it as this historic waterway. It still very much is a vibrant body of water. It's changed, it's no longer a man-made ditch. It now is mostly canalized rivers and lakes, but it still goes all the way from Albany to Buffalo.
So this year in 2017, we're beginning the celebration of the bicentennial. We've got a good 8 years to celebrate, because by 2025, we'll have the bicentennial when they've opened the entire length of the Erie Canal.
I think that some of the pride that goes along with the Erie Canal has diminished some over the years. I think it's going to come back up. I think that people are starting to realize what an impressive and really cool thing we have here. Really, we've got this 8-year-long time to build up momentum, build up interest, so that in 2025, everybody in the world will know that upstate New York is the place to be to celebrate the Erie Canal.
And we all love celebrations, but using it to go forward, that's what's important. Next year, will we still be interested? 10 years from now, will we still be excited? What if it went away? What could replace it? That would be of equal beauty, of equal utility, of equal value, not only for us, but for anybody who comes and visits. And if anyone's having a problem with answering that question, the answer is zero. Nothing. It's one of the few artificial creations of humankind that's in harmony with nature. It looks like this, was always here.
I think it's a part of everybody's story, and they should come and they should enjoy it and recognize its national significance.
I think it's really important that New Yorkers and people from around the world know that you can come to New York and you can still use this world-changing waterway. It's still here.
Put my money where my mouth is and laid my cards. I'ma go out fighting, leave my scars. I don't know about tomorrow, but I know I got heart. Put my feet right on the margin, and I just might hit the bottom. Throw my hands out on the breeze and let it be. Baby, this is Russian roulette, and it ain't my gun. Hallelujah, I ain't dead yet, and I'm still going strong. I don't know about tomorrow, but the battle ain't done. They say losers are forgotten, and I just might hit the bottom. But we all gotta take the leap and let it be.
This industry is going to happen here, and Genius New York is really bringing the pieces together in the right way.
So I'm really excited because Genius NY is what we need now.
Very clearly, the Genius New York program is going to open up all kinds of doors. I think it's going to benefit our company greatly in the amount of support that we're going to get from the Genius New York staff and program.
We're really excited to create the hub of drone innovation that Center State is looking to bring to this area. We all really want the big winner here to be Central New York.
Genius New York is the world's largest accelerator competition for unmanned systems that allows startup technologies ranging from data decision platforms to UAV technology to training programs to come to Central New York and develop their business and grow here.
Central New York is quickly becoming one of the anchor points in the nation, if not the world, for unmanned systems, particularly UAV, UAS. We have a lot of embedded companies that are in the space. We have a lot of programs, a lot of resources, and we really have the talent here that can really accelerate any business that wants to get into unmanned systems.
It's time to bring this technology into the market to make it useful. Applications that literally save time, money, and potentially lives. And most of the money we get comes right back. We're going to relocate our families here, we're going to bring resources here, and we're going to hire people here to help grow our business.
We're focused on growing this industry in Syracuse, keeping these teams in Syracuse. So it's really more of a long-term vision. Get these teams to stay and grow and hire more people and help with the overall economic growth of the city.
There's a nurturing environment. It's a really great located facility, and it's going to be a win-win for all the parties concerned. All the teams are going to win out in the end, and the region's going to win out in the end. So far, it's one of the best programs that I've seen as far as incubator systems.
We really have, I think, one of the best kept secrets right now, unfortunately, about what's going on with these drone systems here in upstate. That we can truly become a leader in this particular industry, and I think we're well on our way.
Almost $3 million of investment going directly towards the companies. We have resources, we have office space, we have events, networking, programming for teams. It's really a startup entrepreneur's dream. These teams will not only build their own technology, create jobs, but ultimately build a bigger industry that benefits everyone in the Central New York community and the unmanned systems market nationally and globally.
Camera birds off to your left. Well clear.
Call me above the trees.
Today we're flying a drone here at a cell tower and providing a live video feed.
The UMTS cable plus the other small cables that appear to be RET cables. Let's get a picture of those, please.
Yes, sir. Those boxes mounted up there on an angle. Might have to get them from the side.
So we are feeding the video that the drone is taking on the tower top to the technician's desktop in his office where he can actually see what's going on.
It enables a technician to communicate directly with the pilot in order to look specifically at an object or a deficiency in real time.
It's pretty remarkable technology today, and it's getting better.
Every time that we fly a drone, instead of sending a tower crew up a tower, we remove an instance or a possibility for injury.
We are able to identify what needs to be fixed, so when we do send a tower crew to the site, they know exactly what they need to do. They'll have the correct equipment.
It saves time. For example, today with a live video feed, the customer is provided with the information on a real-time basis. The information also tends to be more accurate.
We're able to see things today that we weren't able to see from the ground. We could inspect things from different angles and get different perspectives, take live photos.
This is exciting. We're in the infancy of drone use in the commercial sector. You might want to say drones are just taking off, and the sky's the limit.
We are at the forefront of a brand new industry, and it's very exciting.
And as the drone industry is evolving, the robotics industry is also evolving. Artificial intelligence is evolving. At some point, we could see all of these coming together in a very interesting man-machine relationship.
We don't even know what we're going to be doing tomorrow until we begin to see it up here and then discover ways to use it.
We Robotics recently teamed up with the Peruvian Ministry of Health to explore whether flying robots could be used to deliver antivenom in the Amazon rainforest. You may have already heard about the successful cargo drone deliveries, but what you don't know is what happened behind the scenes. A large $40,000 drone was brought in to fly the antivenom, but after 3 days of testing, the cargo drone could barely fly. No deliveries were made. The field tests were effectively cancelled, so We Robotics needed a plan B, and fast. By chance, Peru Flying Labs had taken Frankie with them to the Amazon. Frankie, named after Frankenstein by our Peruvian team, is an old battered mapping drone with several rubber bands and layers of duct tape holding it together. The drone cost $3,000, and the team suggested we use Frankie to deliver the antivenom. We would simply remove Frankie's camera and replace it with the medicine. The team got to work, programming and testing Frankie for the 40-kilometer flight from Contamana to the village of Pampa Hermosa. In the meantime, the rest of the team took the riverboat to Pampa Hermosa to await Frankie's arrival. All we needed now was our cold pack and the antivenom, which was kindly supplied by the local doctor in Contamana. After the pack was inserted into Frankie's cargo bay, it was time to fly. But there was no guarantee that Frankie would even make it halfway. In fact, the drone had never been used for cargo delivery before and had never flown that far either, so we simply had to hope for the best. Around 4 p.m, the team in Contamana launched Frankie into the air and watched it disappear into the distance. We estimated that it would take Frankie about 30 minutes to reach Pampa Hermosa, compared to 6 hours with the regular riverboat. Over in Pampa Hermosa, the We Robotics team waited, scanning the skies for any sign of Frankie. Villagers had also turned up at the football field to witness the first ever drone landing in their village. The local doctors had arranged to have a young boy simulate a snakebite. They would then simulate the administering of the antivenom as soon as Frankie landed with the cold pack. But there was no sign of Frankie. And then, all of a sudden, villagers began to shout, pointing to the sky. And there was Frankie, gliding along as programmed. Moments later, Frankie landed smoothly on the field, and our patient was treated for his snakebite by the local doctors. For the return flight, we decided to fly at night, so we taped a bike light to Frankie's nose. That way, the team in Contamana would actually be able to see the drone coming in for landing. The doctor in Pampa Hermosa had noted that sending blood samples to Contamana was often necessary to diagnose patients, so if they could fly the blood sample to Contamana, where it could be tested, then they could diagnose the patient a whole lot faster. So We Robotics offered to be the patient, donating blood for this good cause. The team placed We Robotics' blood sample in the cold pack and then into the drone. Shortly before 10 p.m, Frankie took off into the dark night. Over in Contamana, the team had invited locals with motorbikes to light up the runway for Frankie's landing on the football field. Soon, all eyes were scanning the night sky for Frankie's one light. 35 minutes had already passed, but Frankie was nowhere in sight. And then, out in the darkness, a light began to shine. It was Frankie coming in for landing. But this time, Frankie decided to do his own thing, flying past the field and landing on a coconut tree instead. But the blood sample was intact, and the lightweight drone, which is made out of foam, only needed a small $3 part replaced in order to fly again. After rescuing Frankie from the tree, the local doctor engaged with the community to present the results of the project and to explain why she will continue working with We Robotics on drone deliveries in the Amazon rainforest.